This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good morning everybody. Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So today we will just review the arsenic poisoning and we'll have some extra points on this. And then we'll close. In the next class we'll look into other metal like lead, copper, only arsenic and few extra points. What we have seen in this list. Know that the classification of poisons broadly divided into 4 types: corrosive poisons, irritant poisons, systemic poisons, and then miscellaneous poisons. And then we have seen corrosive poisons. Now, irritant poisons are divided into inorganic irritants, organic irritants, and then mechanical irritants. Inorganic irritants are again divided into non-metallic irritants and then metallic irritants. Organic irritants are divided into plants and animal irritants. And then mechanical irritants, we know all the diamond dust, hair, powder, glass is the example. In inorganic irritants, we have non-metallic. Examples are phosphorus, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Metallic irritants are arsenic, copper, lead, mercury, zinc, thallium. So this is the DOS classification of irritants. So irritants are broadly divided into 3 types: inorganic irritants, organic, and mechanical. Inorganic are divided into non-metallic and metallic. Non-metallic examples are phosphorus, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Metallic irritants are arsenic, copper, lead, mercury, thallium, and zinc. And organic irritants are divided into 2 types: plant irritants and animal irritants, where we read about the poisons. And then we have the mechanical irritants like diamond dust, hair, powder, glass. So in animal irritants, we will read about the snake bites, insect bites, cantharides, and scorpion bite. And then plant irritants, there are so many plant irritants are there. So as we cannot keep everything, I have not kept it. So we have we have known that arsenic as a metal or elemental form is non-poisonous. Arsenic is poisonous only in combinations or in salted forms. Like you can see arsenic trioxide, copper acetoarsenate, which is otherwise called as Paris green, arsenic pentoxide, which is arsenic acid, and then arsine, so which is a gas. So we know that arsenic poisoning mimics, it smells some of the uses of the garlic powder, and then these are compounds like it is used in lead plating, it is used in galvanizing electronic components. Arsenic trioxide is used in manufacturing of glass, and then in manufacture of electricides and rodenticide. Copper arsenate is used as an insecticide. Arsenic pentoxide is used in the manufacture of colored glass, and so whatever it is. So all these arsenic products are agricultural insecticides, rodenticides, and then in making of glass items, it is used arsenic compounds are used. So what are the circumstances of poisoning? So mostly by drinking water. So we have known that arsenic is found in the soil because it is as a fertilizer, an insecticide in the fields. So as a farmer keeps on giving this insecticides to the plants, it will fall on the ground, and then the ground will be contaminated with these arsenic products. So whenever a person drinks water that is from this ground, definitely will contain these arsenic compounds, and then he has a chance of getting poisoning. So drinking water, major source of chronic poisoning. So it is a source of chronic poisoning, not acute poisoning. So especially well water, tube well or hand pump well can be there. So WHO recommends about 0.01 milligrams per liter of arsenic in drinking water, which is recommended. So if it is more than this, then we can have this chronic poisoning. And what are the other circumstances? Occupational exposure by workers, industrial workers who are doing in pesticides, and then in industries, arsenic pesticides are more prone to get these chronic infections or chronic poisoning. And then food grown in soil, particularly the rice, which contains high amount of arsenic compounds, fertilizers. If a person gets it, and then slowly he can get into this chronic poisoning. So toxicokinetics, we know that arsenic compounds are very well absorbed through oral, through inhalation, and through cutaneous routes. It is very well redistributed after the consumption into the liver, lungs, intestinal wall, and spleen, and then it can be also be deposited in the hair. It replaces phosphorus in the bone, and then it will be deposited in the bone for many years. So that's why we can detect arsenic poisoning even after many years of the person has died. Means if the person has died and then was buried, even after 5 years, even only a single bone is there, we can still detect that the person has died because of arsenic poisoning. So arsenic is radiopaque, and so if you take an X-ray, we can detect it on an X-ray film. So mechanism of action, we know that it interferes with the enzymes, metabolic enzymes. So mostly the enzyme is pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, leading to uncoupling of oxidative phosphorylation. So mostly due to it is respiratory, we have known in the yesterday's class, SH groups, sulfhydryl groups of the enzymes are affected. So whatever it is, so it will affect the oxidative phosphorylation, and the enzyme it inhibits is pyruvate dehydrogenase in the mitochondrial metabolic enzyme. And then this disturbs the cellular electrolyte levels, leading to the CNS disturbances. It can cause serious problems, and also the vascular problems. So the vascular endothelium is also affected, where the arsenic will be inactivating nitric oxide synthase, leading to increased permeability of the vascular endothelium, leading to edema and hemorrhage, especially in the intestine. So arsenic compounds, they inhibit mitochondrial metabolic enzyme, namely pyruvate dehydrogenase, and then vascular endothelium enzymes like nitric oxide synthase. So pyruvate dehydrogenase inhibition leads to decreased respiration through the wall, and then nitric oxide synthase inhibition leads to increased edema, increased permeability of the vascular epithelium. So that's why in acute arsenic poisoning, the person will die because of vascular shock. Arsenic gas, when inhaled, acts as a direct poison to hemoglobin, producing hemolysis, hemoglobinuria, and then renal failure, and death is instantaneous in case of if the gas is inhaled. Death is very instantaneous. So we have instantaneous death, we have acute poisoning, we have chronic poisoning. So chronic poisoning is mostly seen in workers, and then people who eat the food items containing the arsenic soil, food items grown on the arsenic soil, fertilized things on a prolonged time can get chronic poisoning. Arsenic gas is where a person can die instantaneous within minutes. because of the hemoglobinuria and then renal failure. So regarding to the signs and symptoms of poisoning by the arsenic, we have known two types. Actually, there are three types. One is fulminant type, another is gastrointestinal type, another is narcotic type. So there are three types of poisoning. And then regarding signs and symptoms, in fulminant type, the fatal dose is about 3 to 5 grams. So it is very large quantities. Whereas in case of, you can see gastrointestinal type, the fatal dose is only about 200 to 300 milligrams. It is only milligrams, whereas in fulminant type it is about 3 to 5 grams. So a huge amount of arsenic compounds if taken, then the person can die immediately within 1 to 3 hours. Whereas in case of arsine gas, he will die within minutes. Death is instantaneous. So the cause of death in fulminant type is shock and peripheral vascular failure. There is marked dilatation of the splenic vasculature, and so also in the most of the capillaries as seen. And then you can see subendocrine hemorrhages are present sometimes on the heart vessel or heart wall. So these are some of the signs and symptoms of fulminant type, where it can be the person can have features of shock, peripheral vascular failure, splanchnic vascular dilatation, and then subendocardial hemorrhages. In gastrointestinal type, the fatal dose of arsenic compounds is about 200 to 300 milligrams. And common, so we have known that this gastrointestinal type will resemble the natural disease called cholera caused by the bacteria Vibrio cholera. So in arsenic poisoning, the patient will have sweetest metallic taste. There can be constriction around the throat. The patient can feel a constriction around his throat, and then difficulty in swallowing. There is colicky pain or burning pain in stomach and esophagus. The patient will have intense thirst, and he can have a projectile vomiting. Purging accompanied by tenesmus and pain irritation around the anus can be there. Very important. Purging accompanied by tenesmus. Tenesmus means a sensation of feeling of defecation, but on going to the washroom, he feels difficulty in passing. And then pain and irritation around the anus is there. Stools are expelled frequently, and then they are involuntary. So initially they are very dark colored, stinking, foul smelling, and then bloody, but later becomes colorless, odorless, and watery stool, which we commonly call as rice watery stool. So gastrointestinal type signs and symptoms are metallic taste, constriction around the throat, there is burning pain, colicky pain in the esophagus, stomach, intense thirst, vomiting, and then purging accompanied by tenesmus, pain and irritation of the around the anus. Stools first dark colored, foul smelling in the beginning, but later they are colorless, odorless, and then watery stools. So this is the difference between arsenic poisoning and cholera poisoning. So pain in the throat is present in arsenic poisoning, whereas it is absent in cholera disease. Purging means diarrhea. So forceful diarrhea is called purging. Purging is following vomiting. So in arsenic poisoning, first vomitings will occur, and number two, purging will occur. In cholera, purging will occur first, and then vomiting will occur. So before vomiting, purging will occur. So purging is number one, and vomiting is number two in cholera. Whereas in arsenic, vomiting is first, and then purging is next. So this a little bit different thing. One is comes after. So vomitus contains mucus and bile and blood in arsenic, and it is watery in cholera. Stool is dark colored and bloody, whereas later it turns as a rice watery stool in arsenic. Whereas in cholera, from the beginning itself, it is rice watery stool. There is no bloody colored stool or dark colored stool, and there is no foul smelling stool in Colorado. And then tenesmus and anal irritation are present in arsenic, whereas it is absent in Colorado. And then analysis, laboratory analysis, we can find out from the stools, we can find out arsenic, whereas in cholera we can know the Vibrio cholera bacteria. So what are the other symptoms of gastrointestinal type are? You can have fatty infiltration of the liver, you can have oliguria, uremia, presence of albumin in the urine, red cells, and pain can be seen during passing of urination. There can be vasodilatation and circulatory collapse, which we have seen. The patient can experience tachycardia and VF, ventricular fibrillations, and the patient can have headache, vertigo, tremors, convulsions, coma, and generalized paralysis. And then there can be delayed loss of hair and eruptions in relation to the skin. So these are some of the other systems which can affected by the arsenic poisoning. So hepatic system can be affected, renal, CVS, CNS, and then skin system. So this is the third type, or narcotic type. We have not seen this yesterday in yesterday's class. So here, narcotic type, the GI symptoms are very less. There is CNS symptoms are much more than the GI symptoms. The giddiness, tenderness of the muscles, delirium, coma, and death will occur in case of narcotic type. So in GI type, GI symptoms are very high. In narcotic type, GI symptoms are very less. Other symptoms will prevail, mostly CNS symptoms will prevail, like delirium, coma, giddiness, and then there is some tenderness of the muscles. And then delayed sequelae of acute exposure can cause hematuria, venal tubular necrosis. Then we have anemia, leukopenia, and thrombocytopenia. So all the blood cells count will be decreased. So how to diagnose this arsenic poisoning? So 24 hours, we will check the urine levels. If the 24 hours excretion of arsenic exceeds 100 mg, it indicates toxicity. So if urine 24 hours collection exceeds 100 mg of arsenic, it indicates toxicity. And then we can also know by atomic absorption spectroscopy for the detection of arsenic in samples. And then X-ray abdomen is alpha and acute poisoning. So we know that arsenic compounds are radio opaque, so we can find out arsenic compounds X-ray. All the metals can be seen on X-ray because they are radio opaque. So diagnosis is by urine analysis, atomic absorption spectroscopy, and then X-ray. So treatment is supportive measures. We know that the person will be having a vascular collapse. There is permeation or vascular endothelial permeability is increased, so edema is increasing. So you have to support that with giving more IV fluids, and then cardiac monitoring should be there. Gastric lavage can be done. Demulsions can be given, sulfate to intestinal absorption. These are used as the demulsions. Castor oil is a demulcent. Magnesium sulfate is also demulcent. So they will prevent further absorption of into the GI tract. Chelation therapy is very important. We have known that BAL, British anti-leukocyte, otherwise called as dimercaprol. British anti-leukocyte BAL or dimercaprol is given in doses of 3 to 5 mg per kg body weight, given intramuscularly every 4 hours until urinary arsenic excretion drops below 50 mg per 24 hours. Normally, if it is greater than 100 mg for 24 hours, then toxicity is there. So we give this chelation agent. Chelating agent is where it is an antidote of arsenic, where this compound will catch hold of the arsenic and then make it inert material and then bring it out through the urine. So we give into dose of 3 to 5 milligrams per kg intramuscularly IM every 4 hours until urinary arsenic excretion dips to below 50 mg per 24 hours. So the duration of therapy is about 7 to 10 days. It is a very painful injection. So every 4 hours means you have to take 24 hours 6 times per day, 6 injections to be taken, and that too for 7 days, 7 to 10 days means up to 60 injections to be taken in arsenic poisoning. So it is a very painful treatment. And then penicillamine can also be taken orally, 100 mg per kg per day for 5 days. And then hemodialysis if renal involvement is there, and exchange transfusion can also be done. What are the autopsy findings? We have known we have two types. One is external features and then internal features. External features, the eyeballs are sunken because of the dehydration, because of the loss of the vascular permeability, and then the skin is cyanosed. Garlicky smell can be there around the mouth and the nostrils, and the body looks dehydrated. So arsenic has garlicky odor like smell. Very important. Arsenic garlicky like smell is seen in arsenic poisoning. So internal findings, we have known that the stomach mucosa is congested and reddened. We call it, we have given that name as red velvety appearance. Red velvety appearance means as if, we know that the velvet paper consistency can be seen on the stomach, inside the stomach mucosa, which is congested and reddened. So that's why we have given the name red velvety appearance. Sometimes focal hemorrhages can also be seen, and then the term we used is flea bitten appearance. Flea bitten appearance, as if a flea has bitten the area here and there. So all these bitten areas are nothing but focal hemorrhages. So the picture looks as if the flea, an insect, has bitten the stomach. So it is flea bitten appearance is seen. So intestines may be inflamed and contain rice subendocardial hemorrhages. Then there can be fatty degeneration of liver, kidney, heart, and then along with routine viscera, few pieces of scalp hair, muscle tissue, and pieces of skin is also preserved for chemical analysis. So what are the viscera that is preserved in arsenic poisoning? If the question is asked, then we can, the routine viscera should be preserved like half of the kidney, stomach, and it contains a piece, a 30 centimeters of intestine. So all is which we preserve in any poisoning case. So specifically, what we preserve in arsenic poisoning is scalp hair, and also we can preserve bone. Bone is not mentioned here, but we can preserve scalp hair, we can preserve bone pieces, and also muscle and skin can also be preserved, and these can be used for the analysis of the arsenic poisoning. So chronic arsenic poisoning, we have known that it is seen in industrial workers, agricultural workers, and then prolonged usage of arsenic compounds by the workers, and then drinking well water. So drinking well water definitely is a source for arsenic compounds. So we have non-specific findings and then specific findings. I think we have seen this slide in the previous class. Non-specific findings like easy fatigability, malaise, lack of interest and concentration, joint pains, weight loss, constipation, loose motion, vitamin A deficiency. These are some of the non-specific symptoms. And then specific items we have seen like skin changes, very important. Skin changes and nail changes is seen changes, measlines we have seen, skin changes where there is abnormal pigmentation of the skin. We call it as raindrop. Rain, if you do it, definitely some of the drops will be there on the palms. So the pigmentation on the palms and soles is just like that, as if a rain has fallen on the palm. So raindrop type of pigmentation is seen on the palms. And then hyperkeratosis. So increased thickness of the skin of the soles and palms can be seen in arsenic poisoning. So alopecia can be seen, nails, measlines can be there. We have seen measlines means it is arrested growth of the hair. Sorry, arrested growth of the nail, which is seen as a transverse white line. So which is a feature of arsenic poisoning. And then we have muscle weakness and cramps, liver, jaundice, pleuritis can be there, in kidney, albuminuria can be there, and then neuronal wasting of the muscles, the bone marrow, aplastic anemia changes. So mostly in specific symptoms, skin symptoms are very important, nail changes are very important, hair changes, alopecia very important. So rest of the things are routine generalized symptoms. So here you can see this is hyperkeratosis of the soles of the feet. You can see thickened soles, very thickened. This is called hyperkeratosis, seen in arsenic poisoning. And this is raindrop type of pigmentation. You can see all these brownish lesions on the palms, as if the rain has there, as if the drops are there. So it is called as raindrop type of pigmentation seen in arsenic poisoning. So what is a mealine? So mealine is otherwise known as Aldrich mealine. It is the name of the scientist. So they have given the name as mealine. So they are transverse white lines on the growing end of the nails, reported about 15 days of the exposure of arsenic. They are 1 to 2 mm thick, appear in the same relative position in all the fingers, and it indicates that the period of arrested growth of the nail due to interference of normal metabolism. So these transverse lines are nothing but arrested growth, periods of arrested growth of nail due to interference of metabolism. So they're about 1 to 2 mm thick. So you can see this is the mealine. This is the normal line. You can see the white lines. There are 3 or 4 white lines. This is one white line. This is one band of white, and then terminal white line is normal hair, normal nail. You can see at the base there is one white shadow, another white shadow, 3 or 4 shadows are there. So these are nothing but mealine, which are the arrested growths, periods of arrested growth due to interference with the normal metabolism. These are some of the recent survey says that arsenic increases the risk of cancer. So arsenic is teratogenic. It increases cancer risk. It increases skin cancer. It can cause lung cancer. It can cause liver, kidney, and bladder cancer. What is the mechanism? They say is it will affect DNA repair and methylation of DNA. Because of these two methods or processes, arsenic will interfere in DNA repair. Arsenic will interfere in the methylation of DNA. Thereby, it will cause abnormal growth of the cells, leading to cancer of the skin, lung, liver, kidneys, and bladder. So, diagnosis. This is for about specific signs and symptoms, and then urine test excretion greater than. So we have seen all these things. I think the slide has been repeated. So what is the post-mortem imbibition of arsenic? We have known this. So we know that arsenic insecticides, when thrown into the plants or soil, when the body is buried after death, the arsenic compounds can be imbibed through the skin into the body. So whenever we exhume the body and check for arsenic poisoning, definitely the person will have arsenic poisoning symptoms or arsenic poisoning levels. But it is not the case. It is an entity called post-mortem imbibition of arsenic. So arsenic can enter through the skin from the soil, especially in the dead bodies, in buried bodies, and the process is called imbibitions. And then one more terminology called arsenophagic. So some people take arsenic daily as tonic, as it has some aphrodisiac properties. Aphrodisiac means a person, anything that will increase sexual pleasure is known as an aphrodisiac property. So arsenic is known to have that property. So people will take arsenic daily as a tonic. They can acquire the tolerance up to 300 mg. Normally, we have seen that acute poisoning fatal dose is about 200 to 300 mg. But these people, because they are taking daily, they will get tolerance even beyond 300 milligrams. So these people we have given a name arsenophagics. So the cause of death in chronic poisoning is liver failure, renal failure, and toxic encephalopathy. So CNS, renal, and then liver is involved. Whereas in case of acute arsenic poisoning, it is vascular, shock and vascular collapse. So what is the medical legal importance of arsenic poisoning? So arsenic poisoning is an ideal homicidal poison. We will see what are the qualities of ideal homicidal poisoning. So Napoleon, it is said that Napoleon Bonaparte was murdered by arsenic. So usually given in foods like sweets, bread, milk, tea, cold drinks. So arsenic compounds are mixed with these food items and then they are offered for the other person to get for homicidal purpose. Mass homicide when mixed in food or well water has also been seen. Can also be mixed in tobacco of the cigarettes. So can be detected in completely burnt ashes. So in bones, hairs, nails, it is present for several years. So that's why even in buried bodies, we can detect arsenic poisoning by collecting bones, hairs, and nails. So suicidal and accidental poisoning is very rare. So it is mostly homicidal poisoning and one of the ideal homicidal poisoning. So what are these are some of the qualities of ideal homicidal poisoning, because the poison should be cheaply available. It should be very cheap. It should not be costly. Be easily available. It should be colorless, because when you mix an arsenic compound into a sweet or food item, this substance should not change the color of the food. So it is a colorless substance. It is no smell, no taste will be there. Small quantities required to cause death. Definitely there is some smell of garlic nature there, but ideally if you mix with the small quantities, definitely the smell cannot be there. Easily administered with food and drink. Onset of symptoms is gradual and symptoms stimulate that of cholera. So these are some of the points which make arsenic as a ideal homicide. So it is very cheaply available, easily obtained, it is colorless, can be easily mixed with food and drinks. It will not change the color of the food and drink. It will not induce any taste or smell. It will symptoms will be gradual, and then it will stimulate the natural disease like cholera. So that's why it is very difficult to differentiate whether it is a cholera or arsenic unless we probe into the person's attendance or person itself. What are the disadvantages of using it as a homicidal poisoning? It delays putrefaction. So because of that, we can easily retrieve the arsenic poisoning. Can be detected in decomposed bodies. Can be found in bones, hair, and nails, even after several years, and also in burnt bodies, burnt bones, or ashes. So whatever it may be, whether the body is burnt or the body is buried, we can detect arsenic poisoning. So we'll stop here. So thank you for joining. From next class onwards, we will take lead poisoning, and then we'll continue. So thank you for your patient listening. You can leave now.